he just wanted me for my body. And I was like,
yeah,
all right, that's a new experience.
Yeah, right.
It's got to be a completely different experience.
I think that all men should experience it. Now they'll know how we feel.
It was. And you say that now you know how we feel. It's going to make me guilty about this next line.
Gosh,
but I'm like, I loved it.
Oh, you loved it.
Like,
okay.
I hope people objectify me a little bit more. It's very flattering, right? Like,
wow.
Yeah,
awesome.
it's like nice to feel hot and attractive and desired that way.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. And in the studio today, I've got my OG co-host.
OG, what's up?
Hi, Amy. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Yeah?
Really good. Yeah. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I just got back from Vegas. It was a lot of fun. I find myself in Vegas way too often.
I was going to say, yeah, you're always there.
I know. Sometimes.
I bet you went on a hot date.
Maybe.
You get a hot date?
I can't reveal details.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Anyway. No, we had fun in Vegas. So unfortunately, I came home a little lighter. So, hey, is there any sponsors out there that can
there you
sponsor
go.
this show?
There you go. Yeah.
I left my M in Vegas.
There you go.
What have you been up to?
I'm in school.
Still school. It's the same old story.
I mean, really, same old story, different day. But midterms are this next week.
Yeah.
I would really like to go on vacation.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, because I don't know what a vacation is anymore. But yeah, I mean, it's been really great. I'm on the dating site again, and we'll see what happens.
Well, you met somebody on the dating site.
I sure did.
Yeah. And he's in the studio today.
He is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we actually have Jason in our studio today, real live sugar daddy.
Yes.
I don't know. We'll see about that. But thanks for having me on the show. Yeah. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know this story. My audience is going to find out everything as I find out.
Yes.
Amy knows a little bit more than me. Can you get us caught up on how this happened?
Yeah.
Why we're here?
Well, he ended up messaging me, and really nice. And I actually have spoken to him before, but as I find people, like if I find somebody, I tend to get off, and then I don't really entertain the idea of meeting someone else. I keep my profile up, but it's just because it's addicting, right?
Totally. 100%.
So it's one of those things. So he messaged me, and we had I thought it was just a really interesting conversation story. He's very handsome. So that was very helpful. Yes. He's blushing a little.
He's tall and handsome too.
Tall and handsome.
Couple things I'm lacking.
Yeah, right.
And he has a full head of hair.
Yeah, he's got very.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah. So, and he just sounded like he's got a very interesting story, and I'm very excited to get into it because I feel that he's in an alignment with how I am and doing. He basically did and is doing what I'm doing. So
Okay. So, Jason, what prompted you to message Miss Amy?
Well, it's funny that I met you on there because, I mean, you talk about it being addicting and, having people message you and then kind of going away and coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done that so many times, right? Like,
Right.
Hey, I'm done with this. This site is terrible,
Yeah.
And then,
It's a emotional roller coaster.
come right back and you're like, there's something wrong with me that I keep coming back to this. But,
Yeah, absolutely. I know.
But yeah, I was just on there, saw the profile, and was like, oh, that sounds like super interesting. And like the idea of, found the podcast, thought it was interesting listening to people's stories and just thought,
So, were you able to listen to a few episodes?
just a few,
Yeah.
little bits here and there. So
It always is a little cringeworthy to me when somebody says, "Oh, I started at episode 1." And episode 1, 2, 3, I mean, they're good episodes, but we weren't really in our comfort zone yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we're still there, but
I mean, I am. I'm cross-legged on the
well, yeah.
chair, so I'm like.
but the episodes just
Indian
get better
position.
and better and better. So if this is your first episode you're listening to and you want to go back to start at 1, just note that they get so much better.
and the listeners should hopefully have some sympathy for us guests who every episode's our first
Yes,
episode.
yes,
Right?
exactly.
That is.
Yeah.
So we're not
but
polished.
I don't think you're gonna have a problem. You're sweet. So.
All right, so Jason, I'd love to hear a little bit of your background
story,
and
yeah.
kind of how you got to this point.
Yeah. So I guess I'll probably start with what I kind of messaged you.
Yeah.
So obviously on the sugar daddy side, messaged Amy. My first experience with kind of the sugar lifestyle was actually on the opposite side, was actually as a sugar baby when I was in graduate school.
Really?
Yeah, which is, I think, kind of a unique experience. I don't know a lot of other people who had that kind of experience, but I was in graduate school, was seeing this girl at the time who was a little bit dominant, and she just really liked she had used the site, and she really liked the idea of me getting on the site. We talk about sexuality kind of being a sliding scale. I would say I'm like 5 to 10%, gay or bi or whatever it is, right? And like not very interested in men, but I'm just very open, and I like the idea. And I said, yeah, if like this makes you happy, if you're into it, like then I will do it.
Whoa,
Oh
I
my
have
God.
so many questions.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh my gosh, you are so wonderful.
All right, so you were seeing a girl, and she encouraged you to become a sugar baby?
Yeah, so I guess I can back up a little bit.
Okay, yeah, let's
Also back up a little bit is I was raised very religious kind of household growing up, and I think in a lot of ways kind of sexual repression comes with that, and so it was very natural, I think, for me to kind of develop a double life, and so I just kind of compartmentalized my normal life, and then everything that was kind of sex or adventure was the other life, right?
Yeah.
Because of that, for whatever reason, just when it came to the sex life, I was extremely open, willing to try anything, just really liked new experiences, new adventures.
Right.
And, I was in graduate school, was married at the time, and was kind of out doing my sexual exploration on the side. And that's when I met this girl, and she had used it to meet guys that they were older men that she would be the dom for, get a lot of money for that experience, a lot of times kind of like threesome type situations. And when I was seeing her, she just said, hey, I think it'd be really hot and I'd be into it if you did this. And so I said, yeah, let's do it.
Now, was she the same religion as you?
She was not. No.
Okay.
No,
she was
someone I met in
definitely-
graduate school.
Yeah, she was definitely more experienced, and she just was
She
kind
was,
of your,
she was definitely more experienced.
she was leading.
All
you.
right. So you set
awesome.
up a profile, and men started contacting you?
Yeah, so when I first got on, I mean, once again, I would say mostly straight. And so my hope was, please let there be like some sugar mamas on there, right?
Right.
Wow, what an adventure.
And there was, maybe
Holy
one
cow.
or two sugar mamas on there, but the rest were sugar daddies. And I was like, okay, let's just see how this goes. And started messaging people. Quickly found that I was very popular. I think the tall, skinny, but yeah, so I think just kind of hit the box for, a subset on there where they thought, hey, this is checking a lot of boxes. And I was like, okay, let's see. So
Let's see what happens.
started messaging some people, got a lot of really weird, creepy messages, right? But I was just rolling with it and set up my first date. So I guess I can tell you about my first date. He was a lawyer at a big firm, and we went and met at his hotel. And how explicit do you guys get with these type of things? I don't know.
In the podcast world, there is no censorship.
Got it.
Yeah, so
It's good to know. So
Yeah.
I showed up. We didn't really talk a lot about like my expectations or his expectations.
What were you going through, like, emotionally? Like, I remember my first meeting, and I mean, it just like I was sweating so much.
Were you really?
I was so nervous, but that's why I went on a mock date, basically, just to get my nerves out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't want anything to happen, but I was so nervous because but at least you had a friend to kind of help you through it.
Yeah, but she kind of just put me on the path and just said, "Go do it and
Go
tell
do
me
it."
about it."
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
so there wasn't a
he's
lot of mentorship.
Oh,
but I do remember being nervous. But it's like I said, there's two split sides of the personality, and that other side just kind of goes on autopilot mode. And it's just let's just keep going and see what happens. And so we met at a hotel lobby and talked, and he was nice, much older than me. We didn't really talk about like what my expectations were.
Okay.
But very quickly became clear like what he wanted.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of absorbing it and just thinking, oh, this is like very interesting, because I've gone on a lot of dates with women, and obviously I'm attracted to women. But the interesting thing about going on a date with a guy was just how important the physical attraction was to him, in a way that with women it's personality, it's humor, it's a lot of those type of things, and he just wanted me for my body. And I was like,
Yeah,
all
man.
right, that's a new experience.
Yeah, right.
It's got to be a completely different experience.
I think that all men should experience it. Now they'll know how we feel.
It was And you say that now you know how we feel. It's going to make me guilty about this next line.
Gosh,
but I'm like,
I'm sorry.
I loved it.
Oh, you loved
I was
it.
like,
Okay.
I hope people objectify me a little bit more. It's very flattering, right? Like,
Wow.
yeah, you know,
awesome.
it's like nice to feel hot and attractive and you know,
Yeah.
desired that way.
Well, you definitely. I don't see you ever having that issue. I think you're.
Yeah, you know, confidence comes and goes, but yeah, it was
yeah.
definitely a confidence builder on that one.
Oh
So
wow.
so yeah, that first date, you know, we went and then ended up going up to his hotel, and that was my first experience with a guy. And there were things I liked, things I didn't like. Raw attraction wasn't there, but all in all, I left and thought that was a very interesting life experience.
Yes.
That was kind of my takeaway.
Okay. And then what?
And then what? He's like so
So,
obsessed.
so the
He's
other
zoned
thing,
in
the
on
other thing
it.
too is, you know, he just basically he kind of ghosted me afterwards, like stopped texting.
Really?
Yeah, which is
Oh,
fine.
what a jerk.
Happens, you know. I understood.
Very common.
Very common.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But when
yeah.
when it's your first experience, it's, you know,
They can probably tell that you're super nervous. Did he know it was your first
Oh yeah,
experience?
yeah.
Oh,
I think he very
100%.
much enjoyed that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I checked a lot of like the fantasy boxes there.
gotcha.
But also, you know, I think there was originally kind of understanding of like, I was hoping there'd be like some, you know, financial assistance, whatever, grad student, whatever.
And he
but
didn't give that to you?
No, nothing. So it was kind of like,
What a
that was,
dick
that was kind of my
move.
first,
Oh,
it was kind of my first
ouch.
experience. And it was like, hey, this is me teaching you. So this is like, that's like your,
oh
Yeah.
my.
yeah.
Oh wow,
So
that was his.
I left thinking like, oh, that was interesting. That was like a new experience. You know, would have liked to have had some
Yeah.
also mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
you know, support or whatever it is also. But so anyways, that gave me a lot of sympathy on the other side kind of going forward.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. And so what kind of, so you learned obviously like kind of what not to do. So from there, you obviously went on some other dates,
I
right?
went on a
And
few more.
So,
Yeah. So I ended up seeing about 4 or 5 guys total. 2 of them I saw more than once.
oh
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So how do you go about asking for the financial assistance? Because there are so many college students on there. And I think that's the hardest part for me is I have a hard time, and we've talked about this many times on the show. I have a hard time asking for that. I have a hard time asking for the help, but it's like, I would think when somebody says, hey, I'm in college, yo, help, like that should be a big indication right there.
Well,
Should it not?
the premise of the site alone.
True. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So how did you go about that?
It was more of a,
And how do you feel about it now, being on the other side?
yeah, the nice thing was with most of the guys, I think they were actually pretty upfront of like, hey, this is what I'm willing to like do. And I thought
Okay.
I really appreciated it when they were upfront about it, right?
Okay.
You know, and some guys offered more, some guys offered less. And to me, it was like, yeah, I understand like people have constraints or people have what they're comfortable with and not comfortable with, right? And so you'd find what you were connected with, whether you thought they were interesting. And I liked when they were, you know, upfront about also, hey, this is what I'm comfortable doing in terms of assistance and helping. But yeah, and sometimes I just have to talk about it. And that was actually some coaching I got after that first experience from my friend, which was like,
Oh,
hey,
really?
you know, if
Okay.
they don't bring it up, you just need to be direct. And that was
So what, like direct how? So because I'm just like, hey, give me the money. What are you gonna give me?
Yeah,
I don't want to be like one of those people with my hand out. I just want to be like, okay, well,
I
I don't know what to say. It's
I think
so
a
I
lot
get
of
so
times-
frustrated.
Yeah, a lot of times it's like, hey, and what would you feel comfortable in terms of like, would you be comfortable with any sort of financial assistance, and you know, what would you be comfortable with, and things like that, and then they would tell you a number.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I don't know. I feel like you have to ask because if
You-
sometimes
I'm-
if
yeah.
you don't ask, it's like
Oh, I've been taken. I
Yeah.
had a guy for like 2 months, and he just kept telling me. He was like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "Don't worry." And I finally had to ask.
You went on for 2 months?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
months is a
well,
long
I
time.
really, I thought he really liked me. I
Yeah.
really did. But as soon as I asked, I never heard from him. And it was very.
And you met him on the site?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Men,
Yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah, it hurt my feelings really bad. I felt pretty taken advantage of. 'Cause
All right, so how long, Jason, did you do that side of the,
it's about
of
a
the
year.
site?
About a year.
So about a year. And about how old were you when this took place?
25.
Okay. And you're how old now?
I'm 35.
Okay, so about 10 years ago. You did it for a year, and then what?
Yeah, and then just kind of phased out.
Just kind of phased out.
you completely got off the site. Not so.
yeah, I completely
like,
got off the site. Yeah,
right,
completely.
so-
I,
Now,
was,
did you maintain a girlfriend during this whole time?
I saw like different people. I was
Okay.
I was this is, the shameful part, but I was married at the time.
Oh,
So,
scandalous.
Yeah, a little scandalous.
Right.
And she obviously didn't know.
No,
Oh, how did you keep that from her?
just, living that double life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that double side.
But, it's
Aw.
like we're all busy, and there's
Yeah.
times you just kind of sneak out. And
So you said that it was a girl that you met in graduate school that encouraged you. Were you married at that time?
yes.
Oh, wow.
But she was a dom, so that makes it.
No,
I
well,
mean,
I get that,
it's-
but I didn't know that he was married. I thought it was a girl that he was seeing.
Yeah.
well, he
You
was
were seeing her?
her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, never anything emotional. That was kind of a,
Right, a rule. That's a rule for a.
Oh, you really
For the
were
most part.
exploring, huh?
yeah, it was a lot of exploration.
So, how
And
long?
I will say this. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Well,
Okay. And what I say is the ultimate rule. So I'm just teasing.
The moral
I'm teasing,
authority. I like it.
yeah.
I like
I'm just saying that sexual exploration is so important.
For sure.
And I mean,
For
I think that if you have a partner that doesn't want to do that, I think it's fair that you allow that other person to explore.
Yeah.
Like for me, I've done my exploration. So if I meet somebody who hasn't and if I feel, I will encourage them. I'll be like, go and explore, like
Yeah.
find yourself, because you'll be so much happier, because I was raised like you, like just so, and it just was horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I was confused, and that's why I still think I'm confused, because I'm like, how bisexual am I really? Because I don't mind girls eating me out, or, but like, I don't like strap-ons. I don't like that. I prefer.
You have your limitations.
Yeah, I really do. But I prefer to be dominant over a female. I hate it. Like if a woman tries to dominate me, I shut off completely. It's just, I don't know. So it's that sliding scale, I think.
All right, I have so many questions. Though, for
Okay,
Jason
sorry.
now.
Yeah, I did too.
Calm down,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah.
No, it's okay.
I think it's really great.
real quick,
I
though,
think it's really
I do want to
great.
say, though, I do, talking about you're finding what you liked and what you didn't like, when
Yeah.
you're exploring with women. For me, with men, I left, and after the site, like I was like, yeah, I don't really have any desire to ever have sex with a guy again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you did that. You've
I
been
did
there.
that, but like I said, there were things I liked and things I didn't like, and you talked about specifics, and it was like, it was fun to have someone kind of be really interested in my body. Like,
Yes.
I thought
Body worship.
Like I thought oral was great. I like, there was,
God, I can only imagine.
there was like, both ways I didn't mind. And
Yeah.
there are things though, like, guys, I feel like just, they taste and smell bad. There's just nothing around that.
Yeah.
So, it's,
shower every time before and
Yeah.
every time after, or do it in the shower.
yeah,
I do that a lot.
no,
'Cause
100%.
it's
All right, so I
showers.
want to kind of go back a little bit. Now, how long were you married before you kind of started venturing out?
Probably like 4 years.
Okay, and so what happened there? You just,
Well, I guess, 4 years before the site.
Yeah, right.
But I started venturing out pretty quickly. And, I'm coming at this from a very, I think, different point in life now as I look back. Once again, I think, most people have a pretty natural barrier to cheating, which is a good thing. I think they have like a innate built-in wall where they'll flirt with people or whatever, but, taking that step to cheating is something they won't cross. And for me, for whatever reason, that wall just didn't exist. And I think it is just because I was split, right?
Yeah.
And I had that other life that just really had almost no limitations or restrictions. And so I started kind of cheating almost right away. It was very like natural and easy for me. I was very inexperienced when I started, very inexperienced. Quickly, I would say like most of my sexual experience came post-marriage. And
Did she notice a difference?
no,
Really?
yeah.
did
so
you
is
have an
it-
active sex life with your wife?
Yeah.
And it was good and ongoing?
Yeah, I mean,
Or was it fading? Or you just felt
No,
like the need to
yeah, it's,
experience others?
Sorry, yeah, but
No,
this
it's
isn't.
okay.
We're getting
It's
into
okay.
really deep questions.
no,
So
it's
this is-
okay.
Well, I'm so curious.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there was no one else I'd rather have be my partner.
Okay.
We got along in so many ways, and I was still very attracted to her. Sex, I enjoyed sex, and we would still have sex, but her drive was very low, and her adventurousness was very limited. Whereas, I came in, and this was my almost, I think, something I feel guilty about, which is I came into the marriage not sharing who I was or who I thought I might be, right? So she didn't know I had this side to me. And I was afraid to share that side with her because of, kind of the conditions we got into the marriage in.
Yeah.
And so, it was when I did try to push her for anything, more adventurous, more kinky, whatever it was met with a lot of resistance. And she had a lot, I think her religious background also caused, I think, a lot of
trauma,
sexual trauma that she was working through too. But, we were working through different traumas. And so I never really pushed her and said, hey, I need this. Absolutely. And
did you ever ask her, like, what would you like to try?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
and she was just vanilla.
She was pretty vanilla. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, was she the same religion as you, your wife? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you not have this huge sense of guilt from your religion? Because, I mean, it's highly frowned upon.
Yeah, highly frowned upon. Yeah, it's nice, for better or for worse, going through a lot of years. Basically started looking at pornography when I was 9, 10.
Mm-hmm.
And in that religion, I mean, that's pretty big sin. And so,
well, in most religions,
I was going through, I think, the constant shame cycle from basically that age of, hey, I shouldn't be doing this, but I do it. I mess up. I say I'm never going to do it again. Next day I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
Right. And so that guilt was constantly there. But after, 10 plus years
you're
of that,
just able to suppress it.
Well, it just
fades.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean I don't feel guilt. I think there's always a latent guilt, just kind of in the background. And, it'd come across like like sex with my wife was always different than sex with other people in terms of sex with my wife. I really enjoyed cuddling afterwards. I really enjoyed like the sweetness.
Yeah. There was some emotional.
Yeah. And sex with other people, it was like, okay, I'm
right.
It was great. Thank you.
Yes,
I'll see you later.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's how you can obviously keep it. That's how I think that's really great that you can compartmentalize like that.
So you got off the site. Time is marching on. You got back on the site.
Yeah. So while I was using the site, obviously already doing my other exploration, always just constantly exploring sexually, kink community, everything. And
that's so awesome.
start working. Yeah, it was a fun time.
Oh, it's so good.
That's why I brought Amy in for this interview.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's so wonderful. I think it's wonderful. I'm very curious as to what kink explorations you're talking about. I know body worship. I know you're into that.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious.
Yeah. I guess which one first?
Yeah.
Well, no, go ahead and answer her question. We'll delay mine.
Go ahead. Okay. I think it's so fascinating. It's so exciting. I get excited about this stuff.
Yeah. I think having kind of this fascination with the forbidden, right?
Yes.
And a quick disclaimer is I've always been, very fearful of like anything illegal. So nothing illegal, but I always love things that are just taboo or forbidden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it was very natural. I was drawn to kind of the kink community.
So do you go to
I went to, events. I went to dungeons, things like that. There's like Fet Life and they lunches and things like that, and would meet people. Most of the events are just a bunch of really awkward dudes, and two or three doms, and attraction was really hard to find in that community.
Yeah.
I think there are private events where you get like much, more exciting groups or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I explored through different dating apps, would meet people who are interested in being submissive. And so I'd explore my dominant side in terms of ropes, bondage, edging, like a lot of that kind of stuff, which was a ton of fun. But then also had other than that girl I was seeing who was a graduate student kind of acquaintance, I actually met like a professional dom and then had a lot of experience for about a year being a sub to her. And that was a really, really interesting experience. And I found that, I guess you'd say I'm a switch, right? Like I think both can be really, really interesting.
I think everyone's a switch. It just depends on the
It's so many different like experiences and sensations that you get, I think, from both sides. And for me about kink, it's all about the creativity. It's all about the exploration. Obviously trust has to be there as well. But it's fun. It's a fun time. And my dom was a very, very
corporal. What was she? What kind of?
Yeah, it's like, so I'm a wimp, so I don't take much pain. I don't take much pain, and so it was a lot of like.
She's more like a mommy dom type or a sensual.
No, I mean she was a beautiful young 20s, like half Asian, half white, tall, thin, long, beautiful hair.
That's my type of girl.
Yeah, she was extremely attractive, and it was a lot of sensual. It was a lot of bondage.
Yeah.
Tried with like the pegging, was always trying with the pegging. I was terrible. Apparently I'm just a tight ass. But yeah, there was just a lot of exploration.
Yeah. Okay. So Marcus.
So back to the question I had.
Yeah.
how he got back on the site.
Yes.
Yeah. So took a few years break after it because I was doing my exploring on the side. And after a while, I decided, hey, I'm now working, have a job, making income. And I was thinking, yeah, I still want to keep exploring on the side, but I probably need something a little bit more discreet. The expectations of the side of you can kind of find any kind of arrangement you're wanting in terms of if I wanted something that was natural in connection, but also understanding there's a big separation. A lot of people are more understanding of, I think, a married guy's situation on there than as opposed to Tinder or OkCupid or whatever it is. Right?
Well, I would think on the kink sites, that's pretty common. That's very common.
On the kink side, yeah, but it was hard finding attractive
yeah.
partners.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And I found, the site did have a lot of people in the kink community as well, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thought, hey, why don't I give it a try on the other side?
Yeah.
Right.
So now instead of being a sugar baby,
Yeah.
you're looking for a sugar baby.
Yeah.
A female, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
It's female, only female.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he does not want to do that again. He's like, he explored. He was
I explored. And
Yeah,
threesomes when it was two guys and a girl would be fine, but
I've never had that. I wonder what that would be like.
You and I talked about setting that up once, but it never happened with your ex fiance or something.
You should do it. It's fun.
But he never came to town.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about that. That was heartbreaking.
That was
Anyways, continue. But have you had that?
Yeah. So I've done.
Is it like, what is it? How does that go? Because, with girls, I feel I'm very good with girls. I've had many of girls.
Two girls, one guy.
I've had
Lots of that.
6 girls and one guy.
Oh,
so I've had
lucky
a
guy.
lot. Well,
That might be a little too much.
it was a lot. It was,
That
a,
was a
lot.
lot.
I was coordinating pretty much the entire time.
You're directing like a
Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. It was really fun. I got to
leg
put
up, mouth there.
That's exactly what I was like, okay, let's do this. Cause everyone was just kind
You're
of,
nut.
they were so nervous. It was so cute. And I was just like, let's just become a sloppy, tangled mess and see what happens.
Let's play Twister.
Yeah, exactly. I wish we had a big enough twister to play that. That would have been really hot. Yeah, I always just wonder what it would be like with 2 guys. But I mean, the guys would have to be comfortable with themselves. I mean, that's one thing, is it the Eiffel Tower? Yeah, the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
But that's really all that.
I've done about 4 or 5 male, female threesomes. And I think there's like different experiences, right? Because you can have ones where it's the guys really don't interact at all.
Yeah. What are those like?
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun.
It's okay.
It's fun. It's enjoyable.
Right.
I mean, maybe the girl would prefer them to interact a little bit more, but
I think it would be kind of hot to watch a guy suck a guy. I would be into it. I don't know. I that's just me, but I think
people are into different things. But I
Yeah.
mean, you have both. You have some where the guys don't interact at all, or some where the guys interact. And I think
so that you don't prefer one over the other. Do you think it's attractive when they do? Because it's like I think I get a head rush when I have threesomes, and it's just my whole entire body is just like it's this. I would go into this alternate world, and it's just really it's very, very hot.
Yeah, I think this is where I said I'm a switch, but I probably do side a little bit more submissive because I think for me, it's like I'm trying to think what would give the female partner the best experience or be the hottest for her. And so if she wants that, then I am 100% going to be into it.
Really? Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. That's so cool. That's so awesome.
And you guys are really talking about a world I am unfamiliar with. I've explored a little, but not near to the capacity that you do.
No, but you should. I
don't have that really desire. Like everybody has different desires.
I think you learn human anatomy very well. Like you learn to read people.
Well, I know human anatomy.
Yeah, but I think you learn yourself too. When you're in that environment, it's the environment I think that makes it for me, anyways. So because when I was doing professional dom, like doing it, I would go over to some people's houses and I would ask to have the room and I would set up the vibe. And they would walk in and they would be kind of taken back. And it's like, you have to like create that atmosphere of like safety. And then people will let their guard down and they'll find out things about themselves that they never knew.
Totally.
And it's a really amazing experience. You kind of have to leave them afterwards, let them to their thoughts because sometimes a lot of things happen, but it's really fun to watch people, I think, grow into their own like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's very healthy. Especially when
gotta try everything once.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Well, I'm not opposed to coming out of a comfort zone. I think that's how we grow, and
Yeah. Well, I would have been very
experience life.
interested, like that, the girl that had her gay friend over. I would have taken advantage of that situation. And I would have been like, well, you both can suck on me. Like, that's what I would have said.
What she's referring to is I had an incident where, you talking about the driver?
Yes.
Yeah, I had an incident where I had a girl in my bed, and we hadn't really gotten too far yet, but then all of a sudden her driver shows up at the house. She goes, hey, can my driver come in and use the restroom? I'm like, your driver? Yeah, he's right outside. He knows where I'm at all times. She's like, oh, he's my gay best friend. Fine, he can come in and use my restroom. And then she's kind of drunk at this point, and she's talking to him, and she tries to pull him into bed with us. And I'm like, whoa, wait, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, I would have taken advantage of it.
Yeah, but I mean, I wasn't expecting that, and I wasn't mentally prepared for that.
But if that
moment.
were to happen again, like if a girl were to approach you.
I don't know. Don't ask me for a scenario that I'm not in right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it would be very interesting. Like, have you ever been with a trans?
I have had interest, yeah, but never. I've talked with and chatted with a lot, but never.
Yeah.
I'm actually talking with one now to come on the show. She has agreed to come on. We just got to set a time.
Oh, really?
I am so fascinated and interested to hear
I
how
think that's probably one of my
adventure goes on
biggest
the side.
fantasies that I have yet to live out.
Really?
That is one of probably the only fantasies that I have left to.
You've lived a good life then.
I've
Done the rest of the
I
fantasies.
really, yeah. Well, not them all. There's some that are, I think, it would take a very special person, a very trustworthy person that I have 100% trust in to even share with what that is, because it is so weird that it's not weird, but I know there's people out there that do it, but I actually had a friend of mine who had a submissive that was this, and I would love to experience what he and she went through. Yeah. But that would take a very special thing. Anyways.
But I do think there's a balance, right? I've obviously explored and said yes to almost anything that was presented in front of me, but people knowing their boundaries, do what you're comfortable with.
Right, yeah. So
I'm like, I'll
right.
push you out of it.
He's a badge.
all right, let's get back to Jason's story. 'Cause
it's so good.
We're so easily sidetracked today.
I know.
I just want to find out his adventures now as a sugar daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once again, I'm newly working, so I don't have a ton of discretionary income, and obviously being married obviously complicates that. You got to
Somehow you gotta
hide the finances and
Like,
things
how
like
do you
that.
pull out money? That's what I'm so curious about.
I was dumb. I wasn't even like using PayPal, or things like that. But it was, talking
So you
with
got
people.
caught? Did you get caught?
I did. Yeah, that comes later. Yeah.
Oh.
Comes later.
All right, well,
in the
let him get
story.
us.
Oh, sorry. I'm so
We
sorry.
We haven't got to that part
I'm
yet.
sorry.
Don't jump to the end.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry.
But it was. I think obviously I was a lot younger. I think than a lot of the demographics on the site.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you are actually in the younger category.
Absolutely.
Younger category.
But you are definitely, I think, I've had a lot of younger guys talk to me. You're the most interesting. And you're the most mature. Like I think the rest of them are just young and dumb and full of cum. And the way they talk to you, like the way that you spoke to me, spoke volumes. I mean, that was the reason why I got back to you on it so quickly, is because the way you spoke to me. You took the time to write me and not just said, hey, hot stuff.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm going to be in town, blah, blah, blah. It just,
Yeah, I mean, it's always, people are drawn to the site for all sorts of reasons. I talked about wanting to explore, wanting to have, my adventure still. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think everyone's craving connection too, right? Yes. And for me, it's like taking the time to review profiles and seeing, okay, is there something that I can connect? Obviously, if you find them attractive, you're going to reach out. But it's like,
you're definitely one of the most attractive.
But like, I see all these attractive women, but how are there ways I can connect? Do their profiles give me ways I can reach out? That's more than a just, hey, how are you doing type of a message.
Yeah, and they appreciate that.
I think they appreciate that. And it makes it more interesting for me, because I don't want to just, have a very boring, hey, how are you? I'm good. When are we meeting? Those type of conversations aren't very interesting. Right. So yeah, I mean, I think tried to take a very real approach. Obviously I was sympathetic, having been on the other side. One of my favorite questions to ask is always, what's the weirdest message you've received? Because I got a lot of weird messages, right? And that always led to some fun conversations of, wow, there's a ton of total crazy people out there.
There really is.
I don't know if you guys have talked about it on the show yet, but apparently cage guys.
Yes, we have brought him up multiple times. The guy that wants you to put him in a cage.
That guy messaged you?
Not me.
No, but he messages so many girls that when you ask them what kind of crazy messages are you getting, a lot of them.
The number one answer.
And he has been messaging. I've been on the site for almost 6 years, and I've been hearing the story for 6 years.
Yeah, which is fascinating because what is his mindset? Because I think if he was genuine in his offer, we talked earlier, there's someone for everyone out there, right?
Yes.
He probably would have found someone to take him up on that offer.
Right. Yeah.
That's in 6 years, surely.
But so I'm
Okay,
sure
so I don't know the story of this cage guy.
We've brought it up multiple times.
Okay, well,
But anyway.
the infamy of cage guys, he just wants people to keep him in a cage and will pay them money and will let them live in his house.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I thought there was something more to it.
But it's just it's just fascinating because it's that's probably what he gets off on, right?
Yeah.
It's just the messaging and maybe a few conversations, but
yeah.
So, finding ways to connect. And I've never been the biggest high roller, never will be the biggest high roller, just kind of the point I'm at, career and everything like that. But I found, having a connection and then being willing and upfront to say, hey, this is what I can do. Are you fine with that? And they would say yes or no. And then, go from there. And most of the time, lovely interactions. A lot of
You're
times.
very charming too, so I would.
Well, do you disclose that you're married?
Yeah, and that was my number one rule is I don't want people, for better or for worse. One of the nice things about the site was I could just be 100% about who I am, you know. And in a lot of the other sites I had used before, I wasn't always upfront, and that just made me feel worse. And it's like if they find out later,
you never know what they're gonna do.
Well, you don't know what they're gonna
crazies.
do, and it's just like I'm so dishonest with everyone in my normal life. Like this side of my life, I'd rather just be like upfront and honest in. And
I bet it's kind of refreshing.
It was refreshing. It was refreshing to be able to talk about all my crazy kink exploration, all my sexual desires, and not feel shamed or feel, people would be very accepting and very interested and very open. And that was, it was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. So what kind of trouble have you gotten into? What the fuck stories are we?
Yeah. So how has your dating, so you've dated, I guess, how many girls have you dated?
It's been on and off, right? So I've done, I think like everyone, I've done a lot of like the first dates, the coffee, and then, I think.
So you obviously, you'd have to do coffee. You couldn't do nights.
I don't do nights, and I've been on and off over the years through different cities. The experience has been always meeting somewhere public first. And, for me, I'm always telling them, hey, make sure you text people where you are. I want them to feel comfortable because I just feel like it's so dangerous out there. And you think about what they have to go through. Hopefully they're taking the steps to make sure they feel comfortable and safe. And so meeting somewhere public is good for everyone for the first instance. Good for me too.
Yeah.
But gone on a lot of first dates. I would say a few of those have turned into kind of ongoing. And there's been some have just been kind of one or two meets up, and then, we kind of both part ways. I would say a handful have turned into like longer term things.
What is long, I guess, so that's what makes you kind of get off the site, or what is long term? Like married men, I feel like, is it like, what is long term for a married guy, I guess?
More than one date.
More than one date, right?
That's probably true.
Yeah.
That's pretty much long term for me.
Yeah.
If we've made it to the third date, that's a long-term sugar baby right there.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
No, it's interesting. I'm just I'm talking in the general here, and so it'd probably be easier if I like brought it down to a specific level. But there's people, I'd meet through there. We'd go on a couple dates, and then the sugar side of it would fade, but we'd still stay friends and chat, right? And because generally found them, if there are people I was interested in going on dates with, they're generally people I found to be interesting and dynamic and fun to talk to. But I think like the longest I had was about a year. And it's not like we're meeting all the time, right? Like it's just a couple meets, a month, maybe one or two a month. It was always enjoyable, and that was nice when you kind of had that connection and attraction, and then the longer term led trust, which let you try more fun things.
Yeah.
But some of people I would chat with for a while on the site, and we would end up meeting, even if it was just one or two or three dates, ended up being a really fun time too.
Yeah.
So are you still friends with a lot of the ones that you've met, or you don't have any contact anymore?
I am friends with like two or three.
Yeah. It would be harder, I guess, if you're married. Me being a single guy, I'm friends with so many
So
of the
many,
girls
like everyone just about
that I've met, and even though it may not gone long term or more than 2 or 3 dates, I'm still friends with them, and they'll reach out every now and then, say hi, or we're friends on social media. You can't really do that in your position. Yeah.
No, I mean, there's some people that I met there that I really trust, and I feel like they really trust me, and rooting for them to succeed in life, and I feel like they're rooting for me. And I'm an eternal optimist, and I think, I was often always way too open, way too trusting. But that's just how I live my life, and I like people, I like connection.
Yeah.
But, that leads what we talked about earlier. I did have some bad experiences, and that has also kind of led me to have to kind of purge my contacts list in a way of stopping contact.
Yeah, so we're gonna get into those bad experiences now.
Let's hear that.
So I think it's funny because I came onto that site because it was what I viewed as being the more discreet, right?
Yes.
And ironically, that's the only times I've been caught are from that site, from people kind of messaging. So I guess
that's what I'm curious. Like, what? So they have your real number?
Well, it was one person recognized me from real life. So, there's questions about, well, why were you on there too?
Yeah.
But
why? Yeah, why was the other person on there?
But at the same time, no ill will. I mean, she did what she thought was best, and in a lot of ways, I look back and I think it actually has led to a lot of personal growth. Though at the time it was, terrible. Not to get too hot or heavy, but it was. Well, this isn't hot. This is just heavy. But, not to get too heavy, but if when I got caught, I had already one kid at the time, another kid on the way.
Oh, so yeah, children.
And it was probably the darkest time, I'd say, of my life, right? In terms of I actively thought about suicide and things like that. And I realized in that moment that, hey, I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
But it was an extremely hard conversation. You always hate hurting the person you love. It was kind of I came out about everything at that point. Came out to family, came out to friends, kind of got everything out there on the table.
Wow.
Went to my own kind of therapy and treatment courses and things like that. And so it was it was a full court press and a lot of hurt and a lot of pain. And after that, I get back on and mess up again, right? And, I think it was a very hard period, but also I look back now, I'm, a couple of years out, and I have grown a lot. I wouldn't have if I was just continuously living a 100% double life, right? And so I'm striving for more authenticity.
Right. And so how is that relationship now? Like it's
hard
because she still doesn't know about it now.
No,
he had to come out.
No, I know that he came out, but
yeah. So
what I'm asking is
came out, but then went back to doing it in secret again.
Yeah.
Got caught again. Went back,
right?
Just had all these kind of experiences, and after coming clean, we talked about the addictive element of the site or whatever, and just the desire to keep exploring on that side more. Went back to kind of my old behaviors and keeping it in secret again for about a year, and then had another experience on the site where someone I never even met, but just messaged, ended up trying to blackmail, and I just said, hey, just go ahead and send it, and deal with the repercussions. And now where I'm at, when we messaged, I was on there a grand total of 2 days, and that was
I saw that. I was like, what? I was thinking, was like,
kind of my
was
weak,
he really real?
kind of my weak moment,
right?
And right now I'm kind of in the, I think, longest period of not actively engaging in kind of outside behavior, but it doesn't mean the journey's over. I think right now what I'm just trying to do is, I think you live kind of a double life like that for so long, it takes a toll on you.
That's what I was gonna say. Like your mental state. That's so hard.
Yeah.
It's gotta be so hard. I feel for you.
But at the same time, we talked about people exploring, and they absolutely should explore. But I think if I could go back and do it again, I think just being open and honest with people you love, and being open and honest with yourself, I think that saves you a lot of misery in the long run.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
So give us a crazy story here at the end, because we always get to the good stuff at the end.
Yeah, right.
A crazy story.
Yeah.
A crazy good story, a crazy bad story.
Either one.
Just, yeah.
Whatever
Either
you
one.
want.
What's something that you've taken away from the site that you're like, I can't believe that happened, either in a good way or a bad way?
Yeah, I'll just give you one real quick bad one. You always have those experiences where someone's got their profile and very attractive, and you show up to meet, and it's just, not at all the same
I know, right?
Catfish.
Yeah.
Not at all the same person.
Yeah.
And that's always that's always very interesting.
Yeah.
But I think, and crazy good, I told you I did a bunch of male, female threesomes. My holy grail was always 2 girls and a guy.
Yeah.
And got that experience through the site, and it was, incredible.
Rock
So,
on.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Awesome.
Well, Amy,
Yes.
why do you have this permanent grin on your face
This
today?
was such a great episode. I
Wow.
loved it. Yeah, this was awesome.
Because you guys have so much in common. I think that's
So
why.
much,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's why you
so
bonded
much.
online. You're not even on there right now, Jason. Right?
No.
You said
No,
you
he got on
deactivated.
just for me.
You had a little weak moment. You met Amy, but we're glad you did.
I'm
yeah.
so glad you did.
Thanks for having me here. I mean,
Yes.
this obviously, I'm very nervous. Right?
Yeah.
But also, it's somewhat cathartic, right? Because
Yeah,
I
it's
feel
therapy almost.
it is
yeah.
therapy.
You have
Free
someone to
therapy, so
talk
thank you. If
to.
you guys want to charge me afterwards, feel free. It could help cover the show costs a little bit.
I'll get Amy in here and she'll just start talking, and then afterwards she's like, I feel so much better now.
Yeah, it does. It feels
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So
And people got
Anyway.
journeys. I think despite having those bad experiences from the site,
Mhm.
so obviously, if you guys out there, take care to protect your identity and privacy and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I think I had a lot of really great experiences from the site. I met a lot of really great people. And,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's always going to be people out there who are seeking genuine connection and can mutually support each other and help each other. And I think that's always great.
Yeah.
And the site connects people, by the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I know I've had many great experiences on there. We talk about some of the what the fuck stories, but overall, I do highly recommend it to people. But you got to be careful and you got to do it correctly, and
Yeah.
you got to kind of know what you're looking for, and
Yep.
and then find out what you're not looking for.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's trial
Yeah.
and error. That you'll have that
It's
on
hard.
any dating though. With
Yeah.
any dating
Yeah,
app.
but this is universal, right?
Yeah,
It's
I think
with any
it's
dating
just
site.
this app allows this place allows you to be more open about your sexuality, and I
Yeah.
think that is, to me, that's the hardest part, because
Yeah.
I have a hard time telling people hey, I'm into kink. I have a hard time telling people that.
Yeah, I wonder what people did, before these type of apps,
I
right?
know,
Because it's
yeah.
you're just
Repressed. Super
you're
repressed.
just rolling the dice because
Yeah,
no one
yeah.
goes on these dates and says, "Hey, I'm a wild kinkster."
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah. So
Well, guys, thanks for listening to this episode. Find us on Instagram, and you can message me there, or find us on our website, and you can be a guest like Jason. Tell us your crazy dating stories and your sugar daddy, sugar baby stories. We'd love to hear it at secretsofasugardaddy.com. And I just got the latest numbers out for our podcast. We are in the top 5% in the world now.
well, that's
How
amazing.
fantastic is that? So thanks to our audience. Please like and share this, and we will see you next episode. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.